What is happening? So this weekend, Corey Sandhagen, the Sandman, takes on Song Yadong in the main event, 5-rounder in the bantamweight division. Great fight night. Obviously, not worthy of a pay-per-view, but pretty good card for a fight night card. And yeah, so our bets, if you guys seen our last video, pulled out because of all the Hamzat missing weight. And then obviously the Kevin Holland D-Rod fight pulled out. We had that fight going over 1.5, parlayed with the Leech to beat Tony Ferguson. I thought that was going to be a lock parlay, and unfortunately they pulled out. But I think it was actually really good for Nate Diaz and Hamzat Chimaev that they got different opponents, because I thought Hamzat, if he was going to go in there and just murdered Nate Diaz the way he just ran through Kevin Holland, people would not have gave him the same amount of credit they're giving him now. But the fact that he ran through a guy like Kevin Holland, people are like, oh shit, this guy's for real, you know? I mean, the Gilbert Burns fight, people sort of seen some holes in his game, and they were sort of like, hey, he's not that boogeyman that we thought he was. And then he fights Kevin Holland and just murders Kevin Holland inside 2 minutes, or in 2 minutes, I believe. And that was crazy. I did not expect him to beat Kevin Holland that decisively, that quick. That was incredible. Hamzat Chimaev is the real deal. Thank God he did not fight Nate Diaz, because he was going to murder Nate Diaz. And I think it was the best thing, actually, that he ran through Kevin Holland. It was a tougher fight, a tougher opponent, I would say. And he looked incredible. And Nate Diaz, got to go off on a high note. Everyone loves Nate Diaz. Yeah, man, that was incredible. Great night of fights. Now, Tony Ferguson probably going to get cut from the UFC. 5 straight losses. I don't see them keeping him around. I mean, you just lost to Nate Diaz. UFC's probably going to cut Tony. So probably bare knuckle for Tony Ferguson or Bellator, or one of those smaller organizations. A lot of people were saying the Leech got robbed. To be honest, I didn't really score the fight. I got to go back and score it. I was watching the UFC with a bunch of people, so it was really tough for me to get locked in and score. But a lot of people are thinking Leech won. When I was watching it, it was close. I had the first round for D-Rod, I think, second round for Leech, and that third round was close. Leech was landing the harder, more combination shots, but D-Rod was jabbing him up. So close fight. I got to go back and watch it to see who really won. And if you guys watch see our Instagram, we took D-Rod to win by decision, not parlayed, and that was a single bet. And I took Nate Diaz to win by finish, plus 300. So not bad. Hopefully there's no pullouts on this card, especially in the main fight. So let's get into it. If you guys need a place to bet, obviously, BetUS, promo code Iceman, only available in US, Canada, and Europe. So, Corey the Sandman Sandhagen takes on Song Yadong. Let's start from some prelims. So let's start with Joe Pfeiffer. Body Bags takes on Alan Amedovski. Joe Pfeiffer, this guy's for real. He's coming off. To be honest, I haven't really seen too much of Joe Pfeiffer. I've seen both of his fights on the Contender Series. His first fight on the Contender Series, he got injured, so he didn't really get to see him. And then he came back. He got a win over Austin Trotman. And then his last fight on the Contender Series, he fought Ozzy Diaz, and he looked really good and finished it off with some ground strikes. Now he's taking on Alan Amedovski. Alan Amedovski came over from Bellator, and ever since he came over to the UFC, he just hasn't looked good, man. Lost 3 straight in the UFC, and I think Joe Pfeiffer, huge favorite. He should be able to get it done and make it 4 straight, and that's probably going to be the last time you're going to see Alan Amedovski in the UFC, I believe. If you lose 4 straight, you're not a big name, you're going to get cut. So I'm going with Joe Pfeiffer and minus 420, so huge favorite. Trevin Giles takes on Luis Costco, or I don't even know how to pronounce that. So when I looked on my gambling website, they didn't even have the Trevin Giles fight on. I'm wondering if they took that off or what's going on with that. So Trevin Giles takes on Luis. Trevin, he's coming off 2 straight losses. Not good. He got viciously KO'd by Dricus du Plessis, and he got KO'd by Michael Morales in his last fight. That Michael Morales, though, he's like undefeated 14-0, so that guy might be for real. Now he's taking on Luis Kosk. I believe that's how to pronounce his name. Haven't really seen too much of his UFC because he's only had that one fight in the Contender Series where he looked really good. He knocked out Victor Reina, looked really good, and then his last fight, his actual fight in the UFC, he fought Sasha Palatnikov, I believe, and he got viciously beat up, ground and pound. So I'm gonna go with Trevin Giles on this one. I think just the experience, he's only had one fight in the UFC is Luis, so I'm going with the more experienced guy. Significant height advantage. One guy's 6 foot, the other guy's 5'9". So I'm going with Trevin Giles on this one. Now, Pat Sabatini, this guy's my guy. Every time I bet on him lately since he's been in the UFC, he's been killing it for me. So I got to go with my boy Pat Sabatini on this one again. Taking on Damon Jackson. Pat Sabatini, man, he's been looking good, dude. Since that loss, he got injured in that fight against James Gonzalez, 2 years ago. He had an arm injury, but ever since then, he's been looking good, man. He's been on a pretty good win streak. I think, 6 fights in a row he's won, and 4-0 in the UFC. He's incredible, man. So I'm going with my boy Pat Sabatini. Now he's taking on the American Leech, Damon Jackson, the other Leech. Damon Jackson, he has also been looking good. He's got 3 straight wins in the UFC. I remember he fought Ilia Topuria, and Topuria just knocked him out viciously. Topuria is the real deal, heavy hands. But, since that loss to Ilia Topuria, he's, came off 3 good wins. He even beat Daniel Argueta, who's at the time undefeated. So Damon Jackson, he's for real, and he's super experienced. He's got, 26 pro fights. This guy's no joke. But I think Pat Sabatini should be able to get it done against him. So I'm going with my boy Pat Sabatini. My bet for this card was actually Pat Sabatini parlayed with Sandhagen Song to go over. I think that would probably double my money. However, I was not able to get those odds yet. They haven't even posted them on my gambling website, the over-unders. So I haven't been able to do that. If they do it soon, I'll probably post it on my Instagram, the bet. But I was feeling Pat Sabatini parlayed with the over on the Song and Sandhagen fight. And now Anthony Fluffy Hernandez takes on Marc-Andre Barreau. Fluffy Hernandez, he's the guy who choked out Rodolfo Vieira when he was just exhausted. Crazy. Before that, he got knocked out by Kevin Holland with a body kick. And but he's rammed off two good wins since that loss to Kevin Holland. And, one of those was a big submission win over Rodolfo Vieira. And he's taking on Marc-Andre Barreau, a Canadian. He got knocked out viciously, Mark did, against Chidi and Quani. It was like 15 or 16 seconds in. He just got completely, demolished really quickly. But then his last fight, he fought Jordan Wright and looked really good. Won in a first round, mounted guillotine. Now he's taking on Anthony Hernandez. This is going to be a tight one. This is going to be a close fight. I'm going to go with the over on this fight. I'm going to go with this fight over 1.5. So that's my bet, over 1.5. Up next, the Bulldozer, Tanner Boser, heavyweights. He takes on Rodrigo Nascimento. Now, Tanner Boser, he fought Cyril Gane, lost decisively in 2019 to Cyril Gane. When after that loss to Cyril Gane, he came you know, he had some good wins. He beat Felipe Lins and he beat Rafael Pessoa. There was some two good wins. But then he lost to Andre Arlovsky. That was a fight I thought he should have won. Obviously, he didn't. And then he lost a split decision to Ilir Latifi. And his last fight, he fought Ovens St. Peru and finished Ovens St. Peru. So he's been okay. Now he's taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. This he's good. His last fight, he lost to Chris Daukaus. Chris Daukaus does have some good boxing. He got knocked out by Chris Daukaus. And sorry, that was not his last fight. His last fight was Alan Boudreaux, but it was a no contest. But before that, he got knocked out by Chris Daukaus. This is going to be interesting. I think this fight could go either way. If I were to bet on it, though, I like leaning towards the guy with more experience for the most part. Yeah, this is a tight one. This could go either way, this fight. Tanner's lost to Andre Arlovsky and Ilir Latifi. That was not too impressive at all. But I'm sort of leaning towards Tanner Boser on this one. I don't know why, but slightly leaning for Tanner Boser on this one. So I'm going to go with the Canadian on that one, Tanner Boser. Now, Andre Fili. Now, Andre Fili, he's coming off a couple losses. He lost to Joe Anderson Brito. He got knocked out in the first round, pretty viciously, 40 seconds in. Before that, he lost to Daniel Pineda, and he lost a decision to Bryce Mitchell. Now, before the Bryce Mitchell fight, he won a split decision over Charles Jourdain. Thing is, Fili hasn't been looking too good lately. Now, he's taken on Bill Algeo. Bill Algeo, when he lost, after that loss to Ricardo Hamas, he came back, bounced back, 2 straight wins. One of those was over to Gilbert Burns' brother, Herbert Burns. So that was pretty impressive. He also beat Spike Carlisle. I like Bill Algeo. I think he should be able to get it done against Andre Fili. So I'm leaning towards the slight underdog on this one, Bill Algeo. Now, this is probably going to be your fight of the night. If not, this is going to be a vicious knockout for one of these guys. Both these guys, really heavy hands. Chidi Angelo Quani, if you guys don't know, his brother, Anthony Angelo Quani, used to fight in the UFC. He was a really good fighter as well. He's taken on Gregory Rodriguez, Robocop or whatever. Now, Chidi Angelo Quani, he's been looking good lately, man. He's been just knocking people dead. His last 4 fights, he's just been finishing people. So he came out of the UFC. He lost to John Salter, lost to Carvalho and Bellator. Then he came over to LFA. He had that one fight in LFA, just viciously beat the guy. And he's, rounded off some wins. He beat Mario Souza, finished Marc-Andre Barral, just 15 seconds, and beat Dusko Todorovic. Now he's taken on Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. Yeah, Gregory Rodriguez, the real deal. This is going to be a really good fight. He had that one loss to Armin Petrosian, who's got 70 pro kickboxing fights, so no shame losing to that guy in a stand-up match, and he's had some good wins, Gregory Rodriguez. This fight can go either way, man. This fight can literally go either way. If Chidi knocks out Gregory, I wouldn't be surprised. And if Gregory knocks out Chidi, I would not be surprised either. I'm slightly leaning towards Gregory Rodriguez in this one, but this one could literally go either way. So my pick, Gregory Rodriguez, Robocop. But if Chidi goes in there and KOs him, I wouldn't even be surprised. This one is literally a coin flip. because Gregory Rodriguez, he's really good, man. He's got heavy hands. You guys seen his last fight against Julian Marquez? He just KO'd him in the first round viciously. So I'm going with the RoboCop on this one. Gregory Rodriguez. Sadiq Youssef, I don't even know if he's on the card, or it says opponent to be announced. So we'll see. Now, the main event, the Sandman, Corey Sandhagen takes on Song Yadong. So, Corey Sandhagen had those 2 vicious KOs where he wheel kicked Marlon Moraes and he flying kneed Frankie Edgar. Now, both those guys on the tail end of their career on the downslide. Now, he lost to TJ Dillashaw. That was a war. And his last fight, Peter Yan beat him up pretty good. Now he's fighting probably China's number 1 guy they're going to try to get behind right now. This guy is the guy they're going to try to push. He's only 24 years old, and he's got a really bright future behind him. He's been looking really good. I really like Song Yadong, man. I think he's really fast. He's got heavy hands. The fact that he is such an underdog, makes me want to take Song Yadong. I don't know the over-unders. They haven't announced the over-unders. So when I first seen this fight, I was like, over 1.5 for sure. Going to parlay that. But I haven't seen the over-unders. If it's minus 500 or minus 400, obviously I'm not going to take it. But to be honest, the fact that Song is such a big underdog in this, I sort of like Song in this fight. I think if this fight stays on the feet, Sandhagen's got wicked movement, really good striker, super dynamics, unorthodox, switches it up. But Song, man, Song hits hard, dude. For a guy who's only 135, he cracks people, man. This guy, I've seen just one punch people. He's super fast and only 24, he's on the upslide. Like, we don't know when this kid's going to hit his prime. The fact that he's plus 170, that's a good bet. Like, that's a good bet. I would take that bet. Like I said, I haven't seen the over-unders. So my first bet, I was going with this fight over 1.5. But the fact that they're counting out Song Yadong in this one, be careful counting out Song Yadong. But my pick is over 1.5. But a good underdog pick for this fight is Song. He can very well win this fight. Now, don't get me wrong, Sandhagen is a big favorite, and I can see him, I don't see him finishing Song Yadong. Maybe if it's a submission, haven't really seen too much of Song's submission game, but Corey likes to stand and bang. He likes to KO people, and I don't know if he's going to KO Song. Song's got a wicked chin, iron chin. It's going to be a close one. So, yeah. Good luck, and hopefully I can post my picks for you guys on Instagram when they drop those over-unders. Hopefully the over-under for this fight is not too high, and maybe I can parlay it with something. But the fact that they're counting Song out, do not count out Song Yadong. I might even watch the first round of this fight, and what happens sometimes if, let's say, Corey's a huge underdog, minus 200. If Corey goes in there and wins the first round, he's going to jump up to like minus 400 or 500 going into the second round, and then maybe I'd go take Song then. But it's interesting to see Song Yadong is such a big underdog, because he is for real, man. He's been he does have a hard time sometimes with the grapplers, like Casey Kenny give him a little hard time. Kyler Phillips, of course, beat him. But he's for real, man. So don't count out Song Yadong. I know a lot of people think Sandman's just going to slice through Yadong. I don't think so. I do not think so. So, yeah, good luck, and hopefully we can make some money. Out.